Welcome to the virtual field visit to our organization. Initially, I will give a brief background through this recorded video. And after that, if there are any questions or you need additional information, we can have a question and answer session. And the initial information you may require for preparing your documentation. So it may be helpful if I put some text also. That's why I'm preparing this as a video. First of all, our organization is not a standalone organization. We are implementing our own programs, and we are also providing solidarity and training support to other NGOs in the fields of child rights, women empowerment, good governance, and also protection of environment. Right now, the NGOs are also known by various names. The NGO means like a non-government organization. Similarly, it is also called as CSOs, civil society organizations. And initially, these type of organizations were also called as VOs, voluntary organizations. So all the, in the auditors terms or for accounting terms, these are also known as NPOs, non-profit organizations. As far as our vision is concerned, we visualize a world or community, a society where the women, children, the senior citizens, the fisher folks, the Dalits, Adivasis, they all feel that they belong to. Some people may be living in a society, living in a country, or living in a community. Still, they may feel like an outsider. So we don't want that situation. Like if somebody is living in India, if he is an Indian citizen, then he should also feel that he belongs to this country, and he should not be made feel that he is an outsider or, I think you got it. So our mission or the major activities or major approach through which we like to achieve this vision is through intensive grassroots level activities wherever we work. Because I think this may be the correct time to explain about our geographical location and other details also. Though we are situated in Pondicherry right now, which is known as Puducherry, which is a union territory of government India. Some of the activities we carry out in the coastal villages of Puducherry, and some of the activities we carry out in the urban slums, some in the gypsies colonies, some in the tribal areas. Like that, some of the activities we carry out in the coastal districts of entire Tamil Nadu. Especially, not right now, but during the tsunami time when so many legislations came, we had to mobilize the coastal community and involve in campaign and advocacy for protection of their livelihood rights. And some other program like campaign against child labor. Initially, for 5 years we were doing it throughout Tamil Nadu, and then in the past 5 years we were doing it throughout India, some of the campaigns. So like that, we work only within India. We don't conduct any campaigns outside India. And I said our mission is like, we involve in intensive grassroots level activities, as I mentioned, and also we involve in extensive campaign and solidarity activities. As I mentioned, like campaign against child labor, like that throughout India also we are doing. And regarding the past activities, we have conducted campaigns or awareness programs, awareness trainings through posters and also by conducting trainings on almost all social legislations. It may be Right to Information Act or Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act, Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, rights of right, rights of children to free and compulsory education act, and National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, which is known as 100 Days Employment Act, something like that, and also Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. Like that, all these, legislations have been dealt with by us. We have, printed posters on these social legislations, and also we have conducted campaigns. And another program was like, mostly initially our programs were like campaigns and advocacy activities. After tsunami only, we were directly involved in grassroots level activities at the village level. It started with the coastal villages, and mainly, though we started with the fisher folks, then we identified that in the same village Dalits also live, and some villages tribals also live, and some villages MBC also live. So we will since all the communities were equally affected during tsunami disaster, our service was also rendered to all the community people. And also, as you know, even if it is a disaster which is equally affecting, but women and children are the more affected sections of the society, because though the damage is equal, though the force from outside is equal, it depends on your vulnerability or your strength to cope with the situation, your capacity to cope with the situation, how you will be affected. If a person is already poor, if 10,000 is damaged in one person house, in same 10,000 rupees is lost in another person house, though the damage is equal, the impact is not equal. So like that, the women and children faced much more difficulties than the men in the coastal villages. So our relief and rehabilitation activities were also focused on women and children in the coastal villages, and we provided psychosocial support to children in difficult circumstances in the coastal villages. Similarly, we were involved in rebuilding the lives and livelihoods of the rural women in the coastal villages. And right now it may be slightly difficult for you to understand the Panchayat Raj system, the local governance and things like that. But since the Panchayat elections were not held in independent India till the year 2006, we were involved in a lot of campaigns to motivate the people for this election, because our organization name, I will tell you right now fully, it is Holistic Approach for People's Empowerment. Since we believe in people's empowerment, and we also feel that Panchayat Raj is the best system to strengthen or empower the grassroots level community, we were also promoting the local body elections, and so it was conducted only in the year 2006, and their term was also over in the year 2011. And once again, for the past 9 years, that was not conducted, but initially we were involved in the campaign to conduct that 2016 elections. After the election, we were also involved in conducting series of training programs for the Panchayat presidents, to the ward members, to the municipal councillors, and also municipal ward members. Here in Pondicherry, the blocks are called as communes. So they are basically, we conducted trainings to the commune councillors. And throughout India, there was no training to the ward members so far. All the training stopped with the municipal councillors and the panchayat presidents. But only in Kerala, so far the trainings have been conducted to the ward members level, and in Pondicherry also we conducted that grassroots level trainings to the ward members. As far as our ongoing programs are concerned, we are implementing a program called Ensuring Survival, Development, Protection and Participation Rights of Girl Children. This program is mainly implemented in the government schools. It's implemented in the girls' school as well as co-ed schools, not in the boys' schools. And here we provide career guidance education and also life skill education. We conduct classes on personal hygiene, menstrual hygiene, and we also provide scholarship to pursue higher education for the children who are studying in the government schools. This program is supported by India Literacy Project. And we were also involved in providing COVID relief. After, the lockdown was announced, as you know, all sections of the society were affected. Though, as I already said, they are not equally affected, but everybody was affected. So for some people, it's economic difficulty. For some people, it's a social problem, and for some people, it may be both, and like that. Everybody had some. For some people, it's a medical issue, like that. There were a lot of problems, and as you know, the governments were also proactive, and they provided the relief to the people who had family cards or the ration cards. So we provided the relief to the people who don't have ration cards, and it was like some groceries and rice kit which might have taken care of their 1 month survival, but that's what we could do during that time. And since, as I already mentioned, our main activity was, present activity is conducted in the government schools, and the government schools are closed even now. So how come we conducted the program in the past maybe 7 months? So it's through the online training which you have already heard, or online classes. Right now, instead of the physical field visit, we are having a virtual field visit. Similarly, we conducted online training to the HMs, headmasters, principals, and the teachers with whom we are working. And it ranged from child rights and major child rights issues, and it may be like a child labor, child trafficking, child marriage, like that. What are the main issues of the children, and then what are the child protection legislations? I have already mentioned some of the legislations, and what are the child protection structures. You may be knowing that there is NCPCR, National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, at the national level. At the state level also, there are this type of commissions, SCPCR, State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. And each district level also, there are so many structures, like for example, DCPU, District Child Protection Unit, CWC, Child Welfare Committee, and also JJB, Juvenile Justice Board. Apart from DCPU, there are also many, the district level mechanisms. For example, Childline. I hope you all know the number, Childline, 1098, 1098, but easily remembered as 1098. This is the helpline number for the children who need care and protection, for the children who are in distress. And sometimes, you might have read in Facebook, or you might have received a WhatsApp message that the present government has introduced this 1098 to get this leftover food from the marriage halls or from your family function and things like that. That is a fake message. Don't call 1098 if you have leftover food in your family function, so that the Childline people will come and take your leftover food and serve the children. No, it's a wrong information. It's a fake message. 1098 is meant for providing support to the children who are in difficult circumstances. So when you see corporal punishment in the school, or when the children are physically or mentally or sexually abused, you can call 1098. And on the streets, if you see children begging in signals or on the streets, or if you see child labor, or if you suspect that some child trafficking is taking place in the bus stand or in the railway station or even in the trains, then definitely you can call 1098. So the child line is also present in all the districts of India, and the number is uniform, and the number is 1098 throughout India. And there are also block level structures, for example, block level child protection committee, and there are also village level structures, village level child protection committee. But in some districts it may be functional, in some districts it may not be functional. You have to approach the DCPU, District Child Protection Unit, that is responsible for forming these block level and village level child protection structures, and so that it is also very effective in monitoring all these grassroots level issues. So we conducted online trainings on these topics to the teachers, headmasters, principals, and apart from that, we also conducted trainings to the school students. As I mentioned, our main activity was providing career guidance. So we created 2 WhatsApp groups initially. One for 10th standard student, 10th passed students. This was in May, June. Okay, so one group for 10th passed or 10th student completing students, and one for 12th completing students. And immediately there were a lot of messages like good morning, good evening, and then who are you, how are you, like all those things. And we had some initial difficulties having the boys and girls together in the WhatsApp groups, though they are sitting together in the classrooms. Here it is from the boys from various schools and girls from various schools, and then so we had to divide it like 10th boys, 10th girls, 12th boys, 12th girls, like that. So right now we have 4 WhatsApp groups through which we provide career guidance and also life skill education, and only for girls groups we provide menstrual hygiene classes also. For this purpose, the staff were also trained in short video making. For example, even in this particular video, the adding the text and other things was done by one of our staff members. So during this complete lockdown time, they were sitting in their respective homes, and we also introduced this working from home concept, and then they were creating videos from their homes. One is like how to become an electrician, how to become a carpenter, how to become an entrepreneur, like that, how to become a baker, like that. We have a list of around 100 occupations. So our staff created short videos on each occupation, and then they were circulating this to the WhatsApp groups which we created. So this is the COVID relief and rehabilitation activities, and how we were able to conduct our regular programs during COVID. Our the next this one is like target population. I already mentioned that we are mainly working with women, children, and also elected representatives, the panchayat president, councillors, ward members, like that. And also the fisher folks, that's mainly during tsunami. And even I mean even when we say that I mean we are working with women, at present we are only working with the coastal women and also the slum women and also the single women wherever they are. And also when we say that we are working with children, as I mentioned, we are working with the school students and also the tribal children. They may be like I mean students or they may be children, but that means like I mean they may be dropouts also. And we are also working with I mean gypsy children. Um, the structure and staffing, mainly the board of trustees govern at the top and they make the policy decisions, and they meet roughly once in once in 3 months. That is like annually they meet 4 times in a year, and they make policy decisions and they give guidance to the director. And the next one is the director, who is responsible for the day-to-day activities. And there is also a accountant who takes care of the financial issues. And for carrying out the program, as I mentioned that the government school program, we have 4 block level program associates. And for uh, conducting the women empowerment activities in the coastal villages, we have a field coordinator also. And for carrying out the campaign activities throughout the country, we have a campaign coordinators. This is our simple structure. The funding, mainly, I mean, during tsunami, we were supported by Oxfam Australia, and we were also supported by Teredes Homes Germany India program. It's called as TDH. And we were also supported by Center for World Solidarity, CWS. This, I mean, CWS was mainly supporting our Panchayat Raj activities. And CWS also supported our vocational training program in Madurai district and Dindigul district. In Madurai, we were implementing this program in Vadipatti and the Jallikattu Alanganallur block. So in Madurai district, we worked in Vadipatti and Alanganallur blocks for 3 years. And in Dindigul also, we worked in Nilakottai and Vattalagundu blocks. So this program was also carried out for 3 years. So that is the CWS support. And right now our main, the ongoing program is supported by India Literacy Project. This is also known as ILP. And this organization is, I mean, fully run by NRIs, non-resident Indians, who are in US, working in US. They also conduct annual partners meet. They also visit here, and they have a country office here also. There are also staff team locally to build our capacity, and also for periodic monitoring and evaluation. We are also supported by a French organization called CCFD for our human rights education programs. The challenges faced and how overcome. Mostly, I mean, we didn't feel like it was, I mean, anything was difficult, but initially when we came across the tsunami disaster, it was a big challenge because even disaster was new to South India, and tsunami was new to the mostly the entire world, or especially to India. Because in Japan there were, I mean, tsunamis. Japan people must have heard about tsunami earlier. We were reading it as like a T tsunami for initial 1 or 2 days. And since the disaster was new to South India, we didn't know initially how to provide the relief and rehabilitation activities in the tsunami affected coastal villages. So then by attending various training programs and also like by keeping in touch with the other organizations who are working in the coastal villages and the coastal districts. We updated our knowledge, and whenever we don't know anything, we consult with the local population. Not only we don't know anything, but to ensure people's participation in all stages of the project implementation, we always involve people in various levels, but especially during tsunami disaster, since the target group fisher folk are also new to us, we held so many discussions, and all our activities were held with the people's participation, and the donors also gave us the flexibility during that time to change the plans according to the people's plans. So mainly these are the information as per the structure given by your faculty, and if there are any questions, I am ready to answer. Thank you.